All right, welcome to, of course, another show, Rockers in Recovery. We want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today and being a part of what we do here at Rockers in Recovery, and that's carrying a message of hope. Of course, we've been talking in regards to the new Delray Beach event that's coming up. It's a community awareness addiction event that's going to be happening up in Delray Beach. We're going to be putting on of course, an all-day concert. It's actually going to be several different bands over a several-day time period, but we're doing a grand finale on March 3rd, 2012, up at the ITC, of course, tennis stadium off of Atlantic Avenue in Delray Beach, and we're looking forward to being a part of the ITC up there. And, of course, when we put something together like this, what we do is we put it together in a community spirit, but most importantly, we have help doing it. We're here at Rockers in Recovery, and I got to tell you that there's been several folks over the years that have, stepped up to the plate and assisted Rockers in Recovery to be in different events and to be at different places, and to, of course, help us financially and assist us with different events that we do, like, just the 12-Step Music Fest that we just came through, and some of the other events that we have done in the past. And today we have on Treatment Solutions Network. Treatment Solutions Network, of course, is one of the sponsors of Rockers in Recovery being up at the ITC, and they're going to be up there with us. And, of course, enjoying the bands and hanging out. The last day on March 3rd, we have Richie Supa, who's going to be on the show here today. He's going to be on at around 20 to 4 this afternoon. And also we have, of course, Ricky Bird, who was on the show last night. We have, of course, Chasm Sultan coming into town. We have Liberty DeVito on drums. He's coming into town. Mark Stein from the Vanilla Fudge. He is going to be, of course, playing keyboards. Christine Ullman on lead vocals. It's going to be a huge, huge event, and we're looking forward to being like the halftime of football for tennis at the ITC. Now, one of the things that I look at as far as addiction recovery is concerned, it's real simple for us to go to conferences and even 12-step fellowship events and carry a message of hope. And I think that's a great thing. But I also think that somewhere along the line, you have to carry it to the person that has never heard of it, or maybe doesn't understand what addiction recovery is all about. And when we talk about addiction recovery, we're not just talking about drugs or alcohol. We're talking about addiction across the board. We're talking about people that have spending addictions. We're talking about people that have issues with all types of certain, addictions like gambling, and there's sex addiction, and there's eating addictions. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And I think that it's important that we highlight all of addiction, because when you look at the bottom line of this, folks, the bottom line is that, in my opinion, it is just the tip of the iceberg, whatever the addiction is. It's the root causes and conditions of all of those things that make the symptom appear, and that is the addiction. And if you don't get to the root causes and conditions in the whole, in the body as a whole, then what you end up having is untreated alcoholism, or untreated addiction, or untreated overeating, or untreated gambling addiction. You have all of those issues, and it's untreated. So you have to get to the root causes and conditions in mind, body, and spirit, in my opinion. So what we're here to be able to do today is talk to Treatment Solutions Network. And we're going to, of course, talk about the Delray event coming up. We're going to be talking with Jim Bevell, of course, the president and CEO. We're going to be speaking with Jim Wahlberg. He's going to be on with us, and he's the head of the PR over there. And we're going to be talking with both of those folks. Then we're going to have Richie Supa on. We're going to get a bird's eye view of a gentleman that's been in the music industry for 40 plus years, and I don't want to say 50 because he would brain me, but the bottom line is that he's been in the industry for a long, long time, and he's going to carry that message from the point of view of somebody that has been in the rock and roll industry for many, many years. So today, what we want to be able to do is concentrate on the fact that, hey, listen, we're here to carry a message to the community, and how is the best way for us to do that. Treatment Solutions Network, very interesting. Treatment Solutions Network is unlike any other approach to addiction recovery. through their relationships with the nation's premier treatment facilities and addiction professionals across the country, they make the arrangements and handle all of the details so the clients can focus on one thing, their recovery. You know, Treatment Solutions Network has the advantage of not being tied to a specific facility. They only accept facilities within their network which meet their above industry standards. So, you know, here's the situation. You know, we want to make sure that when somebody is looking for help, that, you know, they're able to call one place and get all of their needs met, no matter what their addiction level or what their mental health level is. They can get what they're looking for. I'm going to bring on our friend Jim Bevell right now, and we're going to talk to Jim. Jim, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, John.
All right, man. Hey, listen, you know, I just gave a little bit of a brief overview of Treatment Solutions Network and what you guys do there and how you do it, but I'm sure it's a lot more in detail than a couple of sentences. When you start to look at people calling in because let's face it, I mean, when you get on the internet right now, there's a zillion different places that you can find on the internet that will tell you, you know, to go to treatment here or go to treatment there, but they're all individualized treatment programs, and 9 times out of 10, you got to go through 20 of them before you find one, and then you're dizzy. But most importantly, by calling Treatment Solutions Network or Treatment Solutions, you get to be able to go into that conversation knowing that you're going to place them in any number of different treatment programs, and most importantly, get the help that they need.
That's correct, John, and I think you hit on some interesting things when you were speaking. You know, when somebody's, you know, most of the time, like the people that we serve have had no prior experience with addiction treatment, especially when it's a loved one seeking help for one of their family members or a spouse or significant other, and they really are clueless as to what's available and even what the person needs, and it can be a really confusing and lonely time, and you know, it's difficult sometimes. You know, you call a treatment center, you don't really know if that's really the best fit for your loved one, and then you don't even know if you have the resources to be able to access it. So we just try to take a lot of the guesswork out of that process, and when you call us, we assess your needs very thoroughly. We do a full clinical assessment over the phone. All the people in my call center are either certified addiction support specialists or they're currently in training to become certified addiction support specialists. So and a lot of them are in recovery too. So it's just a friendly voice that understands what you're going through, that can walk you through the process. But so the other problem here is, though, once we really figure out clinically what somebody needs, you know, how do we know if they have the resources to access it? How do we know if their insurance is going to pay for it?
Correct.
So we take that information too, and we take those two pieces of information and we put them together, and we come up with good quality options that'll meet the needs, but they can also be realistically obtained, you know, with the person's current resources. And we have a lot of different options for a lot of different things. So we try to work within that window. There's a very short window of time when somebody with this disease is reaching out for help. There's a short window of time to get them into a treatment program, and if you don't move within that window of time, a lot of times, you know, the denial kicks back in and they say, I'm feeling better now, I think I'll be okay, or the crisis that they were in passes and it's not so bad anymore. And then you have to go through and you have to wait for another crisis before that person's ready again. And sometimes, you know, you don't always get second chances. Sometimes the next crisis results in what we know is the end of this disease, always jails, institutions, and death. And a lot of times, you know, I've actually had clients that reached out for help and didn't take it when it was available, and the next phone call we got was to notify us that they were dead. You know,
it definitely happens. And you know, at one point in my early recovery, I was working in a situation where I was getting phone calls from different family members that were trying to help folks, and one in particular was around Thanksgiving. and they gave us a call, wanted to put the person into treatment, and the next thing you know, that was on a Sunday night, and they were supposed to fly in on Monday, and the wife called up and said, I want to keep him here for Thanksgiving because of the kids, and Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, he was dead.
That happens, John, and it's sad. Yep. The other thing I just kind of wanted to touch on, too, because I really think this is a cool thing that you guys are doing in Delray, and we're really, really grateful to have the opportunity to sponsor because, we really believe in what you guys are doing. But this particular event is really special to me because I think there's a huge gap between what we do as addiction treatment providers and the understanding that the general public has of what addiction is and who are the people that we treat. And I know that that's been a big issue in Delray. It's even an ongoing issue right now. And I just think, trying to bring those two sides together for a better understanding is an awesome thing. And I really want to applaud the people at ITC for being open-minded and understanding that and allowing you guys the opportunity to come in and kind of mingle with the general public and kind of let us get the word out.
Correct.
About what this is really all about. It's a disease, and I've treated a lot of people's grandmothers from prescription drug abuse, and they weren't the derelicts that you see in the movies like Reefer Madness.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's safe to say that less than 5% are the variety of alcoholic or addict or person with an addiction or a mental health issue. Less than 5% are that type of person's under the bridge, so to speak, or on the corner. The other 95% is from, as they would say, it's from park place to park bench. But that other 95% is the average guy, the heating and cooling, air conditioning guy, to the lawyer, to the doctor, to the, judge, to everybody's affected by it. This is like, it doesn't discriminate, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And even like the 5% that are under the bridge didn't start off under the bridge.
Nice. That's true.
And it's really sad because a lot of times they just didn't have, the resources or know where to go to get help, and they weren't able to help when they could have intervened, and then the whole socioeconomic circumstances start coming in and they get really pigeonholed. But I know a lot of people who've crawled out from under those bridges, too, and have put their lives back together and are making, a major positive impact on the communities today.
Well, and,
I was one of them.
Nice. And I look at the big picture of the success of treatment today. And, I mean, to be quite frank with you, and I know that there's a lot of people that go into treatment for the first time, and there is trouble. They get out. I'll give you a perfect example. Somebody in my family right now is getting sober for the first time, or attempting to get sober again after some time, but for the first time in many years that she's trying to do something. And through this process, she's been going to 12-step organization meetings and doing what she needs to do, just like I do and other people. But she, has been there for 60 days and found Mr. Right last night and was talking to my wife about how she ran into Mr. Right, and he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And, in my opinion, if somebody goes out or somebody, is attempting recovery and they go back out, we tend to treat people like, it was their mistake, or isn't it in some cases there's so many mental health issues and other blocks and them trying to get outside of themselves in other ways that, they end up relapsing, and it's really not their fault. Do you believe that?
I don't even like to use the word fault when we talk about addiction, because it's kind of like to say, somebody with diabetes, it's their fault because they had a spike, or they had a change, and they need their medications adjusted or something like that. I mean, obviously there are behavioral choices that we can make that make, that will make a better prognosis for us in our recovery. But, I never saw anybody, that was being treated for diabetes. I never even hear like the word fault coming into play, like it's their fault, they didn't eat better, or you know, of course they can make better decisions, but it's a disease. It's a chronic, progressive disease, and it requires constant management. And, you know, relapse, unfortunately, is sometimes a part of the disease process with addiction. And, you know, so to start, you know, I just don't like that word. I really don't like the judgment and the fault, because this isn't, you know, it's one of the things I think we really got to get that message out to people that, you know, this isn't a moral deficiency. This
Absolutely.
is a disease we're treating, you know?
Well, and I'm glad that we're talking about it, because the end result is that when you start talking about the community awareness aspect of it, that's what the community. I mean, listen, it's 2012, and there are still people that believe that this is truly a condition of control. And, you know, if they just, you know, wouldn't do it, just say no. And, you know, want better things for their lives, they wouldn't be in this position. And when you're talking about the disease of addiction, and I don't care what addiction it is, once you get one of whatever it is, you can't stop. I mean, that's a huge, huge thing that people don't understand. And that's why I think this bridging of the gap of the community awareness is so important for everybody. What I want to...
And I will say this, John, if I can real quick, you know, I will say that, you know, the onus is on us as providers of substance abuse and addiction treatment. You know, we've got a lot of work to do too, and I'm just being honest here. You know, I had the opportunity to work with Patrick Kennedy to help get the parity law passed, which basically required insurance companies to pay for substance abuse treatment as they would for any other illness. And we're asking for the respect and the standing in the medical community and in the community at large to be seen as people who are treating, you know, a medical illness. You know, we've got some work to do on our end to grow up as a vocation and really step up and begin to act like, you know, medical professionals if we want to be treated like medical professionals. And there's a lot of work to do in our industry and in what we do. And Treatment Solutions Network is really committed to doing that. We're committed to maturing this industry, to maturing ourselves, to act like who we should be if we expect to be treated, you know, with the respect and understanding of like, say, a cardiologist.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, and you know, something kudos to that, because I think everybody, you know, when you start to get stagnant and you think that you're at that plateau, then, you know, I don't think that anybody is ever at their maximum performance. That's something that we always have to strive for, and always getting better and being able to carry a message to help people, you know, wherever we can, whenever we can, to the best of our ability. And I think that that's different every day, and it all is a growing process. I want to play a video clip real quick of Jim, and then we're going to come back. We're going to finish up with Jim, and then we're going to have Jim Wahlberg on. So let's go to this video clip. We'll be right back with you, Jim. Hold on one second. So, Jim, why is it important to you to be able to help the community out with and other community events to help support recovery?
Well, I mean, obviously recovery is important to me in my own personal life. And I feel like these kind of things are really important, because I think people need to know that when they get clean, their life doesn't end. It really just begins. And, you know, it's just multiple ways to have fun and enjoy yourself. And, you know, I grew up listening to music, and, you know, it was a big part of my using. It was a big part of that life. And I didn't have to give that up when I got clean. As a matter of fact, I enjoy it a whole lot more. There's nothing better than going to a concert sober and remembering it the next day. And, you know, I just felt like we need to let people know that, you know, they can have fun in recovery, and it's fun. And you know, I've got a beautiful life today. You know, I've got 2 beautiful kids. I've got everything and more than I ever dreamed of. And I got all that just because I gave up shooting dope. And, you know, that was a pretty good trade-off. And so I want other people to know that, too. I want them to know what's out there for them.
And there you go. You know, it's, again, Jim, we want to thank you for all you've done for Rockers in Recovery. and most importantly for, you know, what you've done for the community and what you continue to do for the community. You can reach Jim Bevell by going to treatmentsolutionsnetwork.com. You can also call in at 866-359-6320 if you or a loved one you know has issues with addiction. Please give a call over to Treatment Solutions Network. And Jim, thank you so much. In closing, in a minute or two, can you wrap up what you would, you know, what your feelings are on, you know, working with people and in Treatment Solutions Network?
You know, John, I just want to say thank you for the, you know, the opportunity to work with you guys. I really believe in what you're doing. You know, I'm a firm believer that there's life after, you know, after recovery. There's life after treatment. And, you know, I didn't get myself cleaned up to be miserable. And I like the fact that you guys sponsor these events where people can get out and have fun and celebrate being healthy, you know. And I just once again would like to say thank you to the ITC for really being open-minded and revolutionary enough to give us all the opportunity to do an event like this. I think it's going to be awesome. Yeah,
it's going to be huge. And I just feel that in my heart, you know what I mean? It's just amazing how God works everything out in our lives, especially when they're supposed to be there, when they're supposed to be there, and how they're supposed to be there. And, you know, I've been saying it since the beginning of my recovery. God strategically dropped people in my life and did the same for me, for others, all the way through my recovery up until current. And I'm sure he's going to, as long as I stay out of the way, do the same thing. So Treatment Solutions Network.com is the, you know, of course, the website you want to go to. The phone number, if you need help, is 866-359-6320. Jim, thank you for being on today. We're going to have Jim back on next Sunday night, too. We're going to be talking about some other stuff that's going on, and we'll have him back on this coming Sunday night. So we're looking forward to having Jim on the air with us. And in the meantime, we're going to go out to another video from Treatment Solutions Network, and we're going to be waiting for, of course, Jim Wahlberg. Give us a call. So thank you, Jim, for being on the air with us.
Take care, John.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
At Freightliner EAP Rep, what I do is assist people in helping them getting the necessary needs met as far as drug abuse, alcoholism, sex addiction, problems with their families. Just different programs that we have going on to assist that employee to get in the help that he needs to get to the next phase in life. I also believe that a healthy and productive employee is a better person in life, not only in life, but also there on the job, not only on the job, but there with his family, being a better husband, being a better wife. Well, one of the things we try to do is get the employee to look inside himself, knowing that the past things that he's been through and the way he's at now, just to look back and see that, you know, what he's going through right now is not who he really is. The thing that he needs to understand, or she needs to understand, is life is a whole lot better and can be better right now for them than it was in the past. And there's opportunities out there and ways to, and of course, different programs out there to help them get to the next stage in life. That's what we try to do. The enjoyment I get out of this job is knowing that every day I wake up, I can help someone become that better person in life. I think God has gifted me with the ability and the gifts to be able to speak into someone's life, to let them know that there's a better side. There's rewards out there that they're looking for, and the things that they need in life are just a step ahead of them if they could only make that step. Gary Roseborough, EAP representative at Freightliner Mount Holly. I believe that the Treatment Solution Network will be a great asset to my co-workers and my corporation.
All right, welcome back to the show. We want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. And of course, if you caught that first 20 minutes with Jim Bevell, it was smoking, you know, great information, a lot of stuff to digest. But that's why, you know, we're here and we're able to, you know, get to the community and talk to the community about this type of issue. And it's addiction awareness. Addiction awareness, very simply put, it's all types of addiction. I mean, people suffer from alcoholism, drug addiction, gambling, sex, you know, spending. It goes on and on and on and on. So what we're here to be able to talk about today is, of course, the ITC. We're coming up here on March 3rd. We're going to be doing a large concert. We're doing, 10 days prior to that, up to that event, we're going to be at the ITC and hanging out and talking about community awareness and handing out magazines, and Treatment Solutions Network's going to be there talking about educational end of it. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff up there to be able to carry the message of hope and to talk to people in regards to, hey, if you have a problem, it's okay to talk about it, first of all. But most importantly, if you didn't know, there are solutions to it, too, because there are people out there that don't understand that there's a solution. Jim Wahlberg is a gentleman that I've had the pleasure of meeting through Jim Bevell, and he works with Jim at Treatment Solutions Network. And I want to bring Jim on and talk to Jim Wahlberg about community and, of course, all of the things that we're doing right now. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hey, John. How you doing, buddy?
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you for being on with us today.
I'm happy to be on, believe me.
Hey, man. Hey, listen, there's a few things here, as somebody, that is in recovery, and for myself, I'm in recovery, and I start going through all of the different things that I've gone through to get me to my recovery. There was a lot of times in the community that community didn't understand somebody that would be particularly under a bridge, or maybe not under a bridge, maybe somebody that was just not right, showing up to work, hungover, losing time at work. People tend to not look at that type of situation as a behavioral problem, not an addiction problem. They should be able to control that. And over time that many people believe that. So community awareness kind of takes that stigma away and shows the disease aspect of it. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I also think that, we're living in very different times. Mm-hmm. I think that, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who doesn't have a family member or somebody, even if it's a distant family member or a close friend, that hasn't had problems with substance abuse. In this day and age, it's not, in the beginnings of the 12-step programs like Alcoholics Anonymous, back in the 30s, the stigma was much larger. It was definitely looked on and frowned upon. I do believe that, there's a lot of people still look at it as a behavioral thing, but I think fortunately, so many people are so close to this disease that the addict has a better shot of getting at least some understanding. That doesn't mean that people have to accept, their behavior showing up to work late and not being in good shape, etc. They don't have to accept it, but I think there's more of an awareness.
And I'm glad we're talking about this because, there's that other aspect of it, too. There's so many other forms of addiction now that are showing up, too. It's back in the day, you didn't look at like obesity as an addiction. You didn't look at those, as somebody with a gambling problem, as somebody that had an addiction. These were all separate things. You looked at alcoholism and drug addiction as addiction.
Yep.
Now all these other addictions are in place now. So in the community, when you have somebody going to the track every day and blowing all their money, or you have somebody going to Payblass or to Bloomingdale's or wherever, and they're spending, $10,000 a week in credit card charges that they can never afford to pay. Mm-hmm. These are the people that are now showing up. And again, it's all about, in my opinion, this is just a symptom of the issue. The real underlying root causes and conditions is what treatment's about in getting to those issues.
Well, the sad thing is although people are more informed in terms of addiction and the fact that these are addictive behaviors that we're talking about, I think the average person has no clue how to really get some help. You can't just turn on Dr. Phil and think in a couple of minutes you're going to be all better because he said something. It just doesn't work that way. There's an ignorance, I think, in terms of where do I go and what do I do? You people, we're in the information age, and you go online and you punch in something to do with substance abuse treatment or substance abuse problems, and you're going to get a plethora of information, most of which is not going to be any help at all.
Correct.
So the fact that people, it's such a maze to navigate through without the proper assistance.
Treatment Solutions Network is unlike any other approach to addiction through relationships with the nation's premier treatment facilities and addiction professionals across the country. it enables the client to be able to just worry about their recovery because you guys are walking them through that whole process of being able to find what the individual need is for the client instead of just taking a cookie cutter approach. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, if you are fortunate enough to be able to navigate your way through to treatment solutions, the person on the phone, whether it's the addict themselves or a family member, if you can imagine, your whole world is crumbling around you, and now you have to get on the phone and sort of try to give all this information to a bunch of people that you've never seen before, and hopefully, if you're lucky enough to be on the phone with a Treatment Solutions Network as opposed to many other numbers you could be calling, you're going to get somebody that's the first thing they're going to do is put your mind at ease.
Correct.
Listen, where you are now moving in the direction of a solution to your problem, right? That is a very comforting thing for somebody to hear and to know that they're moving forward now. They're not going to be run through a mill, and they're not going to, it's not going to be more difficulty. It's going to be somebody's here to take you by the hand and walk you through this very difficult process. So having that little bit of peace of mind and being put at ease, even just a little bit, is such a major thing for somebody, especially family members. If you can imagine, they're not suffering from this disease, but their house is totally upside down. They have no idea what's going on, and who knows what behaviors their family member is exhibiting to them, right? Because it could be any number of behaviors. And they're going through this process, and they're just totally at a loss. They don't know what to do. And to have somebody just take them by the hand and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. This is the first step. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do this little thing. We're going to move forward. We're going to take this other little step. We're going to move forward. And all the while, we're going to be here for you. If this takes a couple of hours, you have the number. You just call me back directly, and I'll continue to take those little steps with you. And you hear the what is it, American Express or Visa? At the end of the commercial, it's priceless, right?
Yep.
Whatever you got was priceless, right? Well, those services are priceless, man.
It's you're just talking about some great stuff, and for many, many years, addiction is that huge elephant that sits in the middle of the room. And, when it comes to family, that huge elephant that everybody's walking around, nobody wants to deal with, especially if it's somebody that is, somebody that can drink and go to work and can drink and maintain their bills, but they're kicking the dog and beating the kids every day because of their drinking. Yep. So there's that big elephant in the room that nobody wants to push the elephant out of the way and do something about it and start scooping up the poop that's left behind. You know what I mean? Yeah,
there's a lot of organizations out there, right, that claim, and I'm definitely not going to point any out by name, but I got to tell you, there's a lot of organizations out there that claim that they're in the business of helping people, and to the point where they're throwing fundraising events, right? And then you go to them and you say, okay, what exactly are those fundraising events? What's that money going towards? And are you going to give somebody treatment? Are you going to provide them some indigent person treatment? They can't afford it. You're going to help them, and that's why you're raising the money. And I actually was told, oh, no, we'll give them a discount.
Nice.
And I'm like,
unbelievable.
I'm going to tell you how I met Jim Bevell. My wife has a close family member. We're originally from Boston. We live down in Florida now. And she's a mother of 4 kids, and she was drinking, and her whole life was completely a disaster area. And so I flew up to Boston, and I did what's called a Section 35, which is we took her to court and forced her into treatment. They locked her in. Okay. And then we spent the next month while she was there trying to figure out what are we going to do with this woman when she comes out, because there's nothing set up for her. She doesn't have the proper resources that she needs. She needs help. She needs somebody that's willing to sort of navigate her through this process. And just by chance, I was introduced to Jim Bevell for another matter. It had nothing to do with her. It had nothing to do with the situation. And we got to talking, and I had this was going on in my life, and I was sharing it with another person. And he goes, man, I think I can help you. And he just took the ball and ran with it. And I didn't. Yeah, and the next thing I knew, she was down here in Florida in a treatment facility. And I was amazed at how willing he was to just take the ball and run with it. He understood her situation. That doesn't mean that everybody's getting free care, but they're in the business of helping people. And if that means sometimes they got to bite the bullet, guess what? They bite the bullet. You know, and that for me was key when Jim and I got back to talking about maybe there's somewhere for me to be involved in this company. And, you know, my background is marketing, and, you know, so now I'm involved with the company, and proudly so.
Well, Jim, you know, it's been a pleasure meeting you, and been a pleasure being a part of Treatment Solutions. And, you know, I've actually referred people over there, and I have watched the quality of care from the very beginning all the way through to picking them up at the airport, to bringing them all the way through the whole process of intake and all of that. And it's exceptional. And again, I've also sent people to Treatment Solutions Network that had nothing, and they were able to find them something. So, you know, again, I'm proud to be a part of Treatment Solutions Network and Rockers in Recovery, joining forces and doing these community awareness events that we're doing, but most importantly, being able to carry a message of hope to people that are out there, family members or active, you know, addicts that are, you know, or alcoholics that are suffering from addiction. So
yeah, man, I mean, listen, without people willing to be there and provide, I mean, the service that you're providing right now, getting information out to people, getting them, pointing them in the right direction, aside from throwing some pretty kick-ass concerts, right? I mean, you're entertaining people too, but listen, you're getting people some critical information. You'd be amazed at how many people just don't have a clue, although they know somebody who has a substance abuse problem and it's sort of been part of their family makeup for a long time. When it comes time to try to do something about it, they just have no clue what to do.
Well, Jim, thank you. And you know something? Here you go, folks. If you need to speak with either Jim Bevell or you need to speak with, of course, Jim Wahlberg, you can give a call to 866-359-6320. It's 866-359-6320. You can also go to treatmentsolutionsnetwork.com and find them on the web. You know, again, we're here to be able to carry a message of hope. I want to thank everybody for being a part of the Rockers in Recovery show today. Jim, thanks for being with us. We'll definitely have you back soon. We're going to have Jim Bevell back this coming Sunday, and we'll have you coming up here shortly, probably after the Super Bowl, because we're not doing a show on the Super Bowl for sure.
Well, I'll have a lot to report because I'm going to the Super Bowl.
Nice. Well, we'll be talking then for sure.
All right, John. Thanks, man. Take care, buddy.
Yep, you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, folks, you know our next caller is, of course, Richie Supa. And Richie is going to call in, but we're going to play a little bit of Richie Supa music here right now, and you probably remember this because he wrote it for Aerosmith.
The Aerosmith thing. Here's a song I wrote for Aerosmith. It's something like this. I know I wrote it. I was in the fog, but I wrote it. I know I wrote it.
Playing so hard you can, sitting so cool and nonchalant, dragging on your cigarette. You keep a wall all around. I'm gonna live it all night long.
All right. Good stuff. Our friend Richie Supa tearing it up at the May 28th concert, 2011 for Rockers in Recovery. The Memorial Day concert, him, Ricky Byrd, Chasm Sultan, and the whole band hanging out right there in Pompano. What a blistering day, both ways, music-wise, and it was one hot, hot day out. Lots of fans up on the stage. It was an amazing, amazing day. You know, events, community awareness events, in my opinion, is something that what we're here to be able to do is collectively come together and be able to carry a message of hope and be able to show people that are not necessarily in recovery that people can recover and move on to become productive members of society. Musicians as a whole, you know something, a lot of musicians, and I've talked to so many musicians over the years, they all say the same thing, that, you know, when they first got clean and they first got sober, or they first started acting out on their, you know, stopped acting out on their addictions, that they, you know, found it like scary to even consider playing music again because they didn't think they were going to be able to. So my whole process here with Rockers in Recovery ever since the very beginning was to carry a message of hope to the musician that, guess what, there, you know, there is life after addiction. There is music after addiction. You got to give yourself time to heal and to move forward. The most classic story I ever heard was, of course, the first time I ever had Richie Supa on. And Richie Supa's been on the show several different times and has played at all of the different shows that we're doing. But I got to tell you, Richie, you know, when he got clean and he got sober, you know, he was painting houses. And a song would come on the radio, and he would say, you know, that's my song. And, you know, people would say, yeah, okay. You know, too much of a wet brain or something, you know. But the bottom line is that he did what he needed to do to take care of his recovery first and carry a message to other people. And when it was supposed to come back, it came back. Richie, I want to, of course, welcome you to the show and thank you for being a part of Rockers in Recovery.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be a part of, you know, part of Rockers in Recovery. It's all about the solution, pal.
You know, did you hear what I was talking about when I was just explaining our first show, and you were talking about how, you know, you went out and you started, when you got clean, you started painting houses. You started doing something other than what you had done for years, which was write music, which you wrote for many, many years, for many, many famous artists, from Aerosmith to Richie Sambora to Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's thousands of songs that you've written out there. Ricky Byrd, you just collaborated on his newest CD. I mean, there's all kinds of music out there. But when you got clean, that was almost, what, 26 years ago, correct?
23.
23 years ago. So 23 years ago, when you got clean, you were in a position where you finally said to yourself, hey, listen, you know something, whatever it takes, I'm going to put my recovery first, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I hit a dead end. I mean, you know, I wound up in jail, and that was my bottom. And so I fell pretty far, and there was no way out but up. You know, so I had to do whatever I had to do when I came into the program, and one of the things I had to do was get really, really humble. And part of finding humility is go out and become a productive member of society again. I certainly couldn't write songs because I didn't know how to write songs without cocaine in my brain, in my face. And so, because the drugs became really an integral part of the process of songwriting, and so it became a crutch, right? Like all drugs do. So I had to relearn the craft of writing without the use of drugs. So it was a long process, and I had to go out and earn a living. So I wound up painting houses and hanging off ladders on second-story buildings and hearing Aerosmith songs playing on the radio, telling guys, "Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, you wrote that. Yeah, whatever you're smoking, roll me one." Or he said he wrote that. Yeah, why are you painting houses? I was like, it was too far. It was too deep to get into with these guys. But
Well, and, you know, I'm glad. Listen, the good news is today is that you are able to tell these stories, and people can, you know, find some, you know, security in the fact that, listen, that's where you were then, and this is where you're at today. So there's security in that, man.
Absolutely. I mean,
you know, one of the other things that I want to talk to you about is community awareness, because I think that one of the things that Rockers in Recovery as a whole, and, you know, the team that we're kind of amassing and putting together for everything that we're doing, you know, what we've looked to do is concentrate. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to be able to throw a gig like the 12-Step Music Fest that we went to, or the Rockers in Recovery concerts last year, where we really opened them up to the community, but a lot of people in recovery came to them. The gig in March is totally different. It's like the flip side of that, where we're going out in front of the general public and we're saying, hey, listen, you know something? There is, you know, there is life beyond addiction. And when you see something like that, I mean, how does that work for you? When you talk about community awareness, what does it mean to you, the whole animal?
Well, I mean, listen, you know, my take on it is very simple. In and amongst the community are alcoholics and prescription drug addicts who don't even know that they are addicts. Mm. Okay, so. You know, for me to be part of spreading the word of recovery to the general public, shows them that I am and have become a productive member of society, that addiction is a disease like someone has cancer, and you can get cured if you go for the proper treatment, and you can get your life back. And so it's a big statement. Okay, I'm a heroin addict from Manhattan who just happened to be hit as big in the music business, but you know, I was still a heroin addict, and I'm clean. You know, 23 years now, and that's the statement I want to make through music, and the public has to understand that. You know, and there's a lot of people out there who have prescription drug problems who are in that mass public that maybe might go,
Well, I think there's that part of it too, Richie, that we tend to overlook sometimes. And, you know, because we've all been around recovery for so long, we tend to think that everybody knows about recovery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And because that's what our whole world consists of. But, you know, I truly believe that there's people out there. I was just talking with Jim Wahlberg, and Jim said that, you know, everybody has people in their lives that addiction touches. I agree with that 100%. I also know that in a lot of cases, you know, some of those folks have never heard of, you know, addiction recovery or how they could get it.
Exactly.
So this is an opportunity, and March 12th, so everybody knows what's going to happen. March 12th, it's, of course, we're leading up to it. We're going to be there for 10 days at the ITC for the ATP Championships and the ATP Finals. We're going to be there for that whole thing. Rockers in Recovery is going to be there. Richie, of course, Richie Supa, Ricky Bird, Liberty DeVito, Mark Stein from the Vanilla Fudge, Christine Ullman, and Chasm Sultan are all coming together and are going to play for Rockers in Recovery at the event for addiction community awareness. You guys are going to do, I guess, at 2:30 on the 3rd, a small half-an-hour acoustic set, and then you're going to do a full-blown blowout halftime event at the World of Tennis. And we get to be able to carry a message to people that probably would have never even thought of it in the way that we're going to unfold it in front of them.
Right.
So I'm glad that you're a part of it. What are some of the things right now that you're working on? Do you have any, you know, because I know you deal a lot with new talent and you deal a lot with different things coming up. We've been putting your stuff up on the screen. RichieSupa.com is where you can find out everything that Richie's doing. But what are some of the things that you're looking forward to in 2012?
Working with Richie Sambora on another record. Okay. And certainly getting the artist that I worked with in the last 6 months, Davina Leone, who just moved to Nashville, to put a band together. She's working. Some of the members of her band are the spouses of the children of Aerosmith.
Oh, okay.
So it's Aerosmith second generation. So that's going to be a fun project. And And you know, I'm looking around. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. You know, maybe Rockers in Recovery. We're going to do a bunch of shows and stuff. I'm going to finish doing a recovery record that I you know, always wanted to finish and got sidetracked a little bit. So there'll be a new record this year and of recovery songs, and you know, I got a song already written for next year's Prism Awards. Okay, so
nice.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
Killer song, killer.
Well, you know, talking about Prism Awards, Richie Supa has won the 2009 and the 2011 Prism Awards. The first one was won with In the Rooms for the Social Network, your friend RT and Kenny P. And then the next one was Last House on the Block. Let's take a quick break. We're going to play this song, then we're going to come back and we're going to finish up with Richie.
You got it.
On a rainy night in Nashville, Tennessee, I had nothing to do. It was pouring rain out. And I had a title in my head that I heard in the meetings for years. And I wanted to write this song for a long time. I'm an ex-junkie from New York. I did a lot of dope in a lot of bad places. And I woke up on a lot of floors in brownstones in Harlem and Alphabet City. And it's really the backdrop of my life. And I wrote this song called Last House on the Block. And last night, I was notified from the Los Angeles Press, that it's been nominated for Song of the Year for a Prism Award. So we'll let you know what happens. I've never played it out, so I'm going to try this. Last House on the Block. And I did live every line. Well, I picked up some bad habits, and they kept me running hard. I went against my better judgment. I even turned my back on God. On the streets I met my demons, and they dragged me down the drain with another shot of something just to get me past the pain. Yeah, the door is always open when the devil needs a fix. So you burn another 50 you ain't got it. And you drift into the darkness till your dreams have all been crushed. You're in so deep, there's no way you can stop. Welcome, yeah, welcome to the last house on the block. He put another nail in his coffin in some roach-infested room where he thought he found the answers with a needle and a spoon. Yeah, the door is always open when the devil needs a fix. So you shove another 50 through the slot, and you drift into the darkness till your dreams have all been crushed. In the junkie's world, it's all you really got. Welcome, yeah, welcome to the last house on the block. And it's hell disguised as heaven. go. It's a place all too familiar, where I sold out my soul. And that's how I know the door is always open when the devil needs a fix. So you burn another 50 you ain't got, and you drift into the darkness till your dreams have all been crushed. You're in so deep, there's no way you can stop. Welcome, yeah, welcome to the last house on the block. Last house on the block.
All right, of course, Richie Supa, Last House on the Block, won the Prism Award 2011 for that. And Richie is with us right now. Richie, thank you so much for being a part of Rockers in Recovery. RichieSupa.com. And Richie, in a minute, what would you say about community awareness?
Community awareness is very, very important to get the word that there is, hope in this dreaded disease called addiction. And a lot of people out there really don't know that there is a place to go and there are solutions to what's going on in the world. It's not only about illegal drugs. It's about everything that's in the medicine cabinet, prescription drugs. And so it's a major problem. I mean, it's a major problem. And so I want to be part of, stepping out and telling people that, hey, if you're hurting and you have a problem, this is what you can do about it. And, but every time we get out in the public eye, and show them that we're members of society, productive members of society, and we live in normal lives and have families, it's going to raise the awareness, and that's what it's about.
Richie Supa, thank you so much for being on today. We'll talk soon. I'll be having you back on, I'm sure, over the next couple of weeks up until the event. We want to thank everybody at Rockers in Recovery for tuning in and hanging out with us and being a part of the show today. Jim Bevell, want to thank him, Jim Wahlberg, and, of course, Richie Supa. RichieSupa.com is the place you want to go check out Richie and all the things he's doing. TreatmentSolutions.com if you need addiction help. And most importantly, hang tight, another safe day, and be blessed. We're out for the day. I'm John Hollis.